All right, it's late, but I don't give a shit. So I'm going to share with you the 3 simple steps that I use to scale my agency, all right, to 10K per month, which is this glorious number that we all want to hit. And my hope is that me sharing you what I did will allow you to scale your SMA to past 10K per month. Okay, cool. So for context, to break this down, I've scaled 3 of my own SMMAs past 6 figures each, 10, 21, and 50K per month. And I've also coached over 700 agency owners on how to do this exact same thing. And throughout this time, I've created a framework that I now call the 3S scaling framework, or the 3S wolf pack scaling framework, whatever you want to call it. But it's very simple, okay? The 3S method, we're just going to call it the 3S method for today. It's actually called the 3S Wolfpack scaling method, okay? It consists of 3 S's that are the only 3 S's you need to actually scale your agency once again to 10K per month, all right? So I'm going to break these down and share with you how you can implement these to scale your agency the fastest way possible, okay? Without all this unnecessary fluff, without all this stupid complexity, and without doing all the stuff that a lot of these gurus preach you to do in the first place. Like building teams of 500 people or spending thousands of bucks a day on ads, which you don't need to do. So the first S in order to scale an agency is you have to have skill plus setting. Once again, I will break these down in a second, but I'm just going to cover the 3 and then we'll break them down. All right, the second S stands for sales, and the third S stands for scaling. This is the only 3 things that you need to focus on in order to scale your agency past 10K per month. This is it. Like, there's literally nothing else. From the 700 plus people that I have coached, consulted, and the 1,000 plus people that are in my Discord right now, this is the only 3 things you need to focus on. Now, granted, there's one thing which is not talked about, and that is the mindset, okay, and the environment. And the take I have on this is that without the right mindset environment, you can have all this stuff in place. It does not matter. You have to have the right mindset and the right environment for this stuff to even work in the first place. But this is the stuff you need to scale an agency. So I'm assuming that you have the correct mindset, the correct abundance view, the correct paradigms, the correct perspective, and the correct environment and network around you to allow you to succeed. Okay, because without the correct people around you, right, without being in the correct environment, none of this stuff matters in the first place. So I'll assume you have this intact, okay? Now, with that being said, here's what I did. So in order to even start or scale any agency, you have to understand that business is just a value exchange. It is just people giving something to get something else. That's all it is. It's people give to get, etc. And primarily it's solving problems. In order for us to solve any problem, we have to get a skill, which is why the first step in the method, right, in the framework, is to acquire a skill. So you have to get a skill. Because without a skill, what are you offering people something? And now I'm not saying that you have to become the MJ of Facebook ads, right? Or the Kobe of TikTok, or the Sidney Crosby of content. No, you don't have to become the best, but you have to have some level of skill, some degree of value that you can give to someone. Otherwise, what are you offering them, right? In order to offer something to somebody, you have to have something, which means in this case, some sort of skill. If you don't have anything, you can't make an offer in the first place, which is why the first step is we need to get a skill. Once we actually have a skill, alrighty, then I'm going to bring this out here because we're getting a little sidetracked. We got a bunch of stuff down here. Once you actually have a skill, then you need to set appointments. Now, in order to set appointments, we have to create an offer. Now, I have an entire breakdown of this method and of this offer creation strategy inside my Discord, which you can get entirely for free. No opt-ins, none of that bullshit. It's all for free. You can get the entire full breakdown of this thing. It's less than an hour. You can get me a full training of me breaking this down for you, okay? But you have to make an offer, right? And now the way you want to make your offer is you want to do it very, definitive and very, I guess, in a very specific way to make sure you're making an offer that will actually appeal to people, because you want the offer to be so no-brainer that people can say yes. Which is why in the beginning, granted, if you're already making anywhere from, let's say 1 to 4K per month, scratch this and just double down on what you've been doing and just make your offer better, alrighty, and just scale. Like, just focus on step 2 and 3, okay? Because obviously you've already got the skill and the setting down to get to this point, so you just focus on step 2 and 3. But for those of you who are not there, you need to build an initial offer, and I recommend working for free, okay? Work for free to get your first couple users. Because what happens is, here's the SMMA. I'll even show it. This is some sauce right here. This is some absolute sauce no one will talk about. This is the SMMA flywheel. Is you have marketing, right? You have sales and you have delivery. This is really it. This is the flywheel. And you want this flywheel to spin and spin and spin and spin and spin for infinity, right? The problem is most people try and start with delivery. They try and deliver stuff to people without anything, but that doesn't work, which is why you have to start with a skill. You have to start marketing your skill. You have to sell people on the idea of the thing you're going to do for them, and then you deliver results. And from these results you deliver, you get, I'll even write it out for you. You get feedback, right? And you get case studies. And with these two things, you use this to go market to the market better, okay? And this is the flywheel that continues spinning on forever, right? For eternity, okay? Anyways, back to business. So once again, well, this is the first thing, is you have to have a skill and you have to start setting appointments. And you do that by creating an offer that no one can say no to. And you do that by having a skill that is actually good and offering it to people for free. Okay, simple enough. I hope you're following along. Now, the second step to actually how I scaled 10K a month is after I got a skill, after I started setting some appointments and made an offer and started to get my first initial users and started to spin the flywheel, you have to start getting good at sales. Because now once we start charging money especially, we have to understand how to sell people something. Now, the way I teach sales to the guys inside my program is I use an H to H approach, which is human to human selling. And the idea of human to human selling is changing the way that you fundamentally approach sales in the first place and actually help people. And so a lot of people view sales as taking, right? They view sales as, oh, I'm taking someone's money. But the way that I view sales is I view it as giving. I don't view sales as, oh, I'm taking money from someone. I view it as I'm giving someone an opportunity. I'm giving someone attention. I'm giving someone a service. I'm giving someone a new chance. I'm giving someone education. I'm giving somebody something. And when you approach sales this way, not only do you make more sales, but you help more people out because you fundamentally rewire the way that you view sales. And so if you want to get my full training on this, once again, join my free Discord. It's all in here. You get access to all this stuff, entire breakdown of me going through the H to H selling model that I use inside my business. Okay, now and back in the day when I scaled my first couple SMMAs. Alrighty? And so we take this approach of human-to-human selling, which is way different than everyone else, especially heading into 2025, right? We are literally in a trust recession, as I call it. Okay? We are in a place where nobody trusts anybody anymore. And so if you actually want to stand out, you have to do something that is fundamentally different than the way that most people operate the business. And that is what I believe in giving value first. If you've watched any of my content, you know that I invented the VFGA business model, which is Value First Growth Agency, which is this idea that you run a business by giving value. Okay? Value first. Now, if you want to know how to give value, I literally have a video on this on how to actually give value. Hold everything, go watch that. It's a whole different video. Okay? But that's the second thing. You have to learn how to get good at sales, but not just good at sales. You have to learn how to get good at people. Because at the end of the day, sales is just people. It's just two people having a conversation. And so that's why I teach this H to H selling approach, which I could break down in an entire new video. Once again, I've already made an entire free training that you can go through this. No opt-in, none of that bullshit. It's in my Discord. You can access to all this stuff for free. Okay? Last thing is scaling, right? So once you've got the skills and the setting down, once you've got the sales down, now it's time to scale, okay? And so how we scale is there's three simple things. I call it TPS, okay? Which is team, right? You have to have the right team, you have to have the right product, and you have to have the right service. It's really this simple, okay? We're not trying to overcomplicate it. When we're scaling, we want to make sure that we keep our complexity low, right? Complexity low and our margins high, which is why we don't want to hire unnecessary team members. We don't want to, start venturing off into new niches, etc. We don't want to, make our product super confusing, okay? We don't want to do any of that stuff, okay? And actually, I take this back. This is scale, not service, okay? So team, product, scale. So here's the deal. To scale past 10K a month, it depends on kind of, what the exact parameters of your service is. But typically speaking, and like with the exception of if you do cold calling, right? Because then you're going to have a whole cold calling team and you could have anywhere from 3 to 50 people on this cold calling team. You really only need 1 to 2 media buyers, right? To help you on the back end so that you can focus your time on the front end where your time is more leveraged. And maybe I'd argue most people don't need a closer. If you can learn this approach, this human to human selling approach, which is way different than anyone else. It's not stupid NEPQ. It's not consequence questions or having to deal with prospects that give you endless objections and don't want to answer your questions. It's learning how to read people and how to use human psychology to your advantage, not against. Right. So if you can learn this, selling becomes super easy. You don't even need to hire a closer because it actually becomes fun, because now instead of trying to sell something to somebody, you're rather helping them. And so the conversation totally changes. You don't have to sit here worrying about what your script is, because you just get to talk to people on a human to human level, which makes it so much more fun. Which is why in the model I teach, you don't need to have a closer, because you can get good at closing, because closing isn't even about closing anymore. It's about helping people. And that's where anyone can do that. Okay. So when I say team, 1 to 2 media buyers at most to get to 10 to 20K a month. Right, assuming like bare minimum, you're going to charge 1K per client, right? 1K per client, which means if you want to go to 20K a month, you need 20 clients. And this is if you have a cheap offer and you want to go to 20, right? And that could easily be managed by 1 to 2 media buyers, right? Even one media buyer full-time could easily manage 20 accounts. If they're full-time, typically maybe 1 to 2, right? And then maybe you would throw in one setter if you have a lot of lead flow. And once again, if you're doing a cold calling team, totally different story. You build an entire cold calling team, okay? But if you want to have a lean and mean business, let's say you run ads, you do cold email, etc., this is the setup I'd have, right, to scale, okay? Now for product, it's very simple. We just want to productize, right? Productize our product so that we have leverage. And what I mean by productize is once you started working with a bunch of clients, you want to start to see, okay, what works, what doesn't work. And what you want to do is make like an SOP for how to get client results. Okay, well, we need to do this and this and this and this and this. And so that every time a client gets onboarded, instead of having to go out there and find new strategies and create new ads and all this stuff, it's simplified. It's standardized, right? Once again, the SOP stands for standard operating procedure. You want to standardize the process like that, the education system has been standardized for horrible reasons, and they haven't done this, I think, ethically or in the right way. But we want to use this concept of standardizing so we can have this thing replicate. We want it to be replicable, so when we sign new clients, we don't have to make a custom new plan and a custom new roadmap and custom new ads. We can take what's already working and apply that to our new client's business. That'll do one of two things for us. Number one is it'll get your clients results faster, so they'll be happier with you. And number two, the actual best part about this is it decreases your costs, it increases your margin, and decreases your complexity. Because now instead of having to do all this thinking and this planning and stuff, you take what's already working and you just apply it right from the get-go. And that's how you're able to replicate results so frequently, so often. All right, is by productizing your service. Okay. Now the last thing you need to do is scale, which means we just need to put fuel on the fire. This is it, okay? So once you've got all this stuff in place, right, you've got the right skills, you've got the setting down, you've got the sales down using my H to H approach, right? And you've started scaling, you've got the right team and the right product. It's just a matter of adding fuel on the fire, right? And adding in some leverage. And so this is where you may do things like some YouTube, right? Some Instagram stories, some email, newsletters, etc. And you might do some new things that give you more leverage, because once again, that's the whole game, is you just want leverage. But at the end of the day, scaling just comes down to this, having the right team and the right product, and then putting fuel on the fire so you can have more of what was already working. That's really it. Like there's not much else to add on to this. Like this is fundamentally how I scale my agency to 10K and how you can as well, and how I've helped over 700 plus other people do the exact same thing is this. And once again, like I said, if you want a full entire breakdown of this entire training and this exact process, in my Discord, it's all there for free. Okay, all that stuff is there. You can get access to an entire training of this, right? Where I break down each one of these 3 things separately, a lot more in depth. You can see how you can actually apply them. But this is it. These are the only 3 things you need to actually scale an agency and make real money, especially going into 2025, where we are, like I said, in a trust-based recession, right? So if you want people to actually trust you and you want people to start saying yes to you, etc., you have to start running this sort of model. You can't run the typical SMMA. You can't do the stuff that people have been telling you to do for years. You have to change, right? You have to take this human-to-human approach. You have to take this 3S method approach, okay? Because this is what's working. All right, that's it. I think it's damn near my bedtime, and if I don't get to bed on time, then my Garmin's going to be mad at me. My Garmin's going to start freaking out tomorrow saying, Stefan, you need extra recovery, and I got boxing tomorrow, so I better get my ass to bed so that way I don't get beat up. All righty, that's that. Rock on. Have a good day. Chat with you soon. Peace.